We are now talking to international baseball writer and Yankees writer, Shohei Negron. Sean, what's up, bud?
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate the nice intro. How's everyone doing?
Oh, we're good, man. I will say this. Speedy gives me this long paragraph of crap, and I told him before the show, what are you giving me? I don't understand half the stuff here. Can't you make this a little simplified? Simplify it for me so when I introduce the guy, he doesn't look at me like, wow, that guy's a jackass. But we really appreciate you joining us. So before we get into some conversation, baseball conversation with you with the Yankees, how did you become a podcaster? How long have you been doing this? And how are you and your family doing since COVID-19?
I'll start with the family. Family's good. Not gonna lie, we've had a couple losses, unfortunately, but we're stronger now. Happy to, I guess, put it behind us. I know people like to argue that it's not behind us yet, but I'd like to say it is. But podcasting, I've been doing it for around, I'd say, 2 to 3 years, and I've been silently, watching within the shadows for a long time, and I was just like, what? I rarely give my takes, but I think I have some good ones. So let people hear it, and that's how I kind of got into it, and then I follow my favorite teams, and then I follow all 4 major sports here. So that's what I do.
So one of your favorite teams is the New York Yankees.
That's
and
right.
The Yankees right now are ahead in probably the hardest division in all of baseball in the American League East. You have the Blue Jays, Tampa, the Orioles, even the Red Sox. Yes, the lonely Red Sox that are in last place right now in the American League East. Who would have thought that? Who cares? But the New York Yankees have a player that has an opportunity to win a Triple Crown this year, break the home run record. Could be the real home run record if you want to say that Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. And I've always said that steroids, besides combat sports, should be allowed in professional sports. That's just my opinion, but it's not legalized. So if it's not legalized, they shouldn't have the record, and this should be the record if he breaks it at 62. What are your thoughts to this unbelievable season? A lot of people think Shohei Ohtani should win the MVP because he's a pitcher/hitter, and he's a top 5 pitcher, and he's a top 5 hitter. Where are your thoughts to Aaron Judge and his unbelievable season offensively, and really comparing his season to Shohei Ohtani's?
I think what you got to look at, obviously, is you look at the numbers first, and it's hard to really argue against someone who's going for the Triple Crown, going for the home run record in the AL, and doing what he's doing, and just the fact that it's kind of like a storybook, story right now with the fact
Could
that
be an ending because he might not be a Yankee next year.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't want to say anything, but hopefully he does come back. But to get 61 home runs, from Roger Maris, who did it in 1961, 61 years ago, it almost feels storybook. It would be great to see him do that. And, if you want to take the offense away, he is a phenomenal defender, and he took over center field this year. I know he played in high school and a little bit college and a little bit in the minor leagues, but he showed that he can play center field in the major league level, and his WAR is almost at 10. I know, and Ohtani doesn't play, the field because he's a pitcher, and I get that. But Ohtani's going to be in the conversation every year for the next, 5 to 6, 7 years. And granted, he has, Judge has led this team in New York media and atmosphere and the way everything is gone. And it's such a stand-up guy. I would be very surprised if he doesn't win, just based off of what he's done offensively, but also as a player in person.
So in terms of the potential contract off this kind of Triple Crown or near Triple Crown type season, MVP record-setting type season, what do you think will be the expected years and also either per year average annual value or the total length of the contract that you'll see either from the Yankees or from another team?
Oof, that's tough because I know the Yankees offered him 7 years, around $214, which is around a little over $30 million a year to start the year. Obviously betting on yourself, and man, has that worked out good for him. It might be the best prove-it year we might ever see. So now I think he's going to get 8. I always thought he was going to get 8 years. And I think with 8 years, I think now I could see probably around 40 to 42 million, to be honest with you.
As everybody knows, we are talking to international baseball writers, Yankees writer, and Shohei Negron. Sean, A lot of people. We had Josh Towers on yesterday, ex Blue Jay, Oriole, and New York Yankee. He believes that the Yankees gave him a good deal, 7 years for $213.5 million, and he said that any more years and any more money is overdoing it for a player that's going to be 31 next year, and it really is in the middle of his prime of his career. When you look at what the Yankees offered him, and obviously the negotiations to the arbitration, which he was very upset about with the Yankees, waiting to the last minute to do this, giving him his $19-20 million, but they did it cheaply. And this is not what George Steinbrenner has done over the years. He makes sure that his players are paid and they're happy. Hal's running this team a completely different way. So your thoughts to how they handled Aaron Judge in the offseason, and did it really cost the Yankees on losing him in the offseason to a San Francisco Giants team, or maybe a team like the Red Sox?
I don't know. It's tough to say because everyone loves to say that George, if George were here, this would have been, he would have done this and he would have gotten the job done. But to be honest with you, if George was here, he probably would have traded Judge before he had even become great. George was not so keen on holding on to prospects, especially homegrown. And so I know the whole, he kept the Jeter, the Posadas, the Pettits, and stuff like that. But before that, you're almost looking at almost nobody. A lot of guys were bought. So Judge could have been in the conversation for a trade, and we would have never even had this. So what I think Hal's doing, yes, Hal probably gets under my skin more than anyone that I've never met in my entire life. But I think that he can get the job done still. I think I think there was a little bit of cheap play, especially with the arbitration, waiting until the final moments. I think there's a lot of things that upset Judge. You could clearly tell going into the season that Judge was upset that there was no deal done, and it didn't even seem like it was close because I remember going into the season how, us Yankee fans were feeling like that they were, they had publicly said that they were meeting with Judge, they were trying to get the deal done with Judge, and that it just never happened. And then the fact that Cashman publicly told people the offer that Judge declined, when if you know Brian Cashman, he doesn't say anything ever. He's very quiet, close to the vest, and especially even with trades and signings, there's no announcement, there's no rumor, it just happens. So the fact that he would do that, it just seemed a little petty. I do think, though, that the job does get done. I think that Judge will re-sign. I think with the fact that Chapman, Britton, Green, all of them come off the books, that'll help in paying for Judge, and I think that'll definitely help out. And no, I don't think the Giants – I think the Giants will offer. But the Giants have never been really too big on spending, and they've let people go because they don't want to spend. Judge wants premier-level money, like Dodgers, and maybe even the Angels can sweep in there, and the Red Sox, obviously the Yankees, Mets. But I just think that the Yankees will eventually get it done. It will be a waiting game. It'll be a back and forth, but I do think the Yankees will get it done.
I will say this, and I know a lot of Yankee haters and people that say George Steinbrenner bought teams. If you look at the 80s, he built his teams around a core of young players. He did not trade away his top stars, Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams, obviously Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera. He had stars in the 80s. He had guys, and everybody remembers Don Mattingly being one of them, Steve Sachs, and obviously Pat Kelly, and all the different guys that they had over there that they built their team around. They didn't. A lot of people want to say that George bought his teams. Anytime George Steinbrenner went out and dug into his pockets, they never won. Jason Giambi, they never won with him. Alex Rodriguez and CeCe Sabathia and A.J. Burnett and Mark Teixeira, yeah, they won in 2009. You want to say that was the year that they bought their champion? Okay, that was the year they bought their championship. But all those other years and the challenges, when they brought Tino Martinez, that was a trade. When they brought in Paul O'Neill, that was a trade. I mean, when they brought in Scott Brocious, that was a trade. I mean, they didn't buy those players. Those were guys that fit in. They were not superstar players. They just fit the culture of where the Yankees wanted to go. So I hate it when people say, well, you look right now at the Mets. Steve Cohen is buying his team. That's what he's doing. I mean, he has a core of players, but their core right now, besides Pete Alonso and what's his name again? Their hitter, I always McNeil
and Nimmo.
And Nimmo. Those three guys. You want to say that's a core? Half their outfielder field is bought. Their third baseman is bought. Their shortstop is bought. I mean, this is really a bought team and championship. Max Scherzer was bought. I mean, Jason Bassett was traded, so you want to say that he was traded. But I'm just saying. I know a lot of people want to take shots at the Yankees that they bought their teams. They didn't buy their teams, and I hate it when people say it. Not you, Sean. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying.
No, I get what you're saying.
I hate when people attack the Yankees. Like the Yankees dug into, George dug into his pockets and said, you know what? I'm just going to buy everybody, and I'm going to win championships. It doesn't work. It never worked for the Yankees. Go look. It worked 1 year out of all of them. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, we are talking to international baseball writers, Yankee writer Sean Negron. Sean, the Yankees, this could be the last year for Aaron Judge. Like you said, Chapman. There's a lot of players that are going to be off the books at the end of the season. Gleyber Torres will be going into arbitration. The Yankees are going to have to decide what they're doing with him. I know the playoffs are right around the corner, and nobody cares about the offseason, but you have to start to worry about the Yankees because this has been a problem over the last couple of years, and Hal and Brian Cashman could leave the Yankees next year. He's available, and everything that Hal says is that it's a done deal. He will be signed at the end of the season, but who knows what's going to happen. Him and Brian can have a fight in the playoffs and say, you know what, sayonara, I'm going to the Mets. I'm going to be the president of the New York Mets. Who knows? But what are your thoughts to this Yankee team going into the playoffs and possibly getting knocked out of the playoffs early and going into an offseason where there's a lot of what-ifs with this team?
Absolutely. It really is up to what the Yankees do in the playoffs. Because if the Yankees go in and, they play the first round ALDS, assuming that they get the bye and they're the second seed, they play in the ALDS, but let's just, what happens if they lose? I think Cashman is a done deal. I wish that they'd make Cashman kind of sweat it out a little bit and kind of work for it because it almost feels like it's guaranteed that he comes back each and every year. And but there's a lot of kids coming up, and I think there's definitely going to be some moves made. It's a huge thing. If we get eliminated the way we do, Judge can most certainly look, going into his age 31 year, he'll look elsewhere and just say, maybe I can win with this team or this team. Maybe there's a better shot. I need that ring. And I want it, and this team will offer it to me. And, obviously it's going to be Hicks is probably gone. Higashioka. There's going to be guys, hopefully, who should have their tenure end in the Yankees. There's going to be other guys who I think Cashman's definitely going to try to move, like Donaldson. There might, I don't think Kiner Fleff is going to go anywhere. I think he's a good utility guy. I don't think he's a starter. But I think the Yankees like him as a middle infield type guy. There's definitely a lot of pieces. Rizzo could, he has that option to leave as well. If he sees Judge leave, I think Rizzo leaves. That's what I was saying in my podcast.
I think Rizzo stays with the Yankees. His family loves it there. Everything that I've read about him is that he grew up a big, huge Yankee fan, and I think he loves playing in pinstripes. I think he loves Yankee Stadium, and he loves that New York nightlife. I don't think Rizzo's going anywhere. I think even if Giancarlo goes, I think Rizzo has I think he signed
he's got 1 year left.
He has 2 years. He signed a 2-year deal. So I think Rizzo will be there next year. I think Donaldson, they're going to have to figure out what they're doing with him because I don't know who's going to take that $25 million 1 more year on his contract. That's a lot of money, and the guy doesn't shut up, and he just puts himself in harm's way everywhere he goes. So, and he's had a horrible season. For a guy that's making $26, $27 million a year, he should be putting up better numbers. And in that kind of lineup, it's despicable. It really is.
Yeah. I feel like he should have had at least 25 home runs at the minimum by now.
Yes.
I think his offense has clearly not been what we know him to be. And even last year, he had a pretty decent season with the Twins. I thought we were going to get that. But I don't know if it's father time. I don't know what it is, but I think the Yankees are going to try to move him and kind of eat half that salary, whoever wants to take it, sell some jerseys or whatever team's looking for on